It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com. Give me a follow on the social medias at Randy Wang Radio and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. It is officially the end of an era in Los Angeles County, as Janice Hahn will no longer be the chair of LA Metro.
I love the bus driver.
I know you love the bus driver, Janice, but you can only be the chair for a year. Then you got to give it to somebody else.
That's your final warning.
Janice Hahn, it was a fairly uneventful chair of the Metro Board.
I was like,
Anything was going to be an improvement over the previous chair of Metro, Karen Bass.
I couldn't agree with you more.
But Janice has overseen Metro through some very interesting times, including the now creation of a future police force. Except they're not going to call it a police force. They're going to call it a public safety transit department. How they're going to hire people for that, I don't know. Who's replacing Janice Hahn on the Metro Board?
I love the bus driver.
Why, it's Fernando Dutra out of Whittier. And while part of me wants to let this clip go away because the guy is more common sense than this clip will tell you, I can't help myself. I need to play this clip every time I mention the name Fernando Dutra.
I think we need to flood the market with some positive news whenever we get it. Because I guarantee it goes the other way whenever we get the bad news. So I think it's only fair that we spread the news.
Because, you know, at the time there were so many crime stories about what was going on in LA Metro that we need to make sure that we push out all the stories of, you know, someone who bought a candy bar on the Metro and they ate it and it was good. That happened to me once on the Metro. I didn't buy the candy bar, but someone was walking up and down the different rows of the train trying to sell you candy, and it was weird because it didn't look like this kid was affiliated with any school. I don't know what was going on.
I love the bus driver.
But since it was Janice Hahn's final Metro Board meeting last week as board chair, I thought it would be only fair to listen to the remarks by the chair that they get to make every monthly meeting, because it's the last time. Janice Hahn will never be the chair of Metro again. It's a different time now.
I was like,
And by the way, we're lucky that it ended up being Dutra, because it could have been Holly.
Quite frankly.
And I consider Holly Mitchell to be one of the most destructive politicians in California history. Holly Mitchell, who is one of the reasons that we have the Metro ambassadors and one of the reasons that we had to rethink our police force on Metro, which used to just be a contract with the sheriffs. Then they split it in between 3 jurisdictions for some reason. And now in 5 years, we're going to build our own police force. But Holly Mitchell was behind a lot of that stuff. So was Mike Bonin. But Holly Mitchell also happened to be the fairy godmother of a little idea called Housing First in the California State Senate.
Chilly Willy.
And Housing First has been such an unbelievable disaster. And you can honestly point to thousands of people that have died from overdoses because we said you can go in the housing with the drugs.
Well.
But this isn't a Holly bashing show. We'll have those. This is a celebration of Janice.
I love the bus driver.
Who, by the way, I give her credit because we talked about it when Janice Hahn originally took over as chair of Metro. She said, I'm going to ride that bus. And she does once a week, specifically the one that goes from San Pedro to downtown LA, which surprisingly got very clean. But hey, I'll take it. She would use these meetings to usually say, hey, I saw some dirt over here, or I saw people that were being paid to do nothing over here. It's been a minor improvement, but an improvement is an improvement.
I was like,
I really need more Janice drops. She's special. But let's hear what she had to say. The final remarks from the 2024-2025 chair of LA Metro, Janice Hahn.
here we go. Here we go. Right? We're on item 3, remarks by the chair.
Which is you.
So these are my final remarks as chair of the Metro Board. I'm pretty happy. So as usual, this morning I took the bus here.
Does she not want to do this anymore? Well, I mean, it's less work. Now she can just kind of be in the background and just vote.
So as usual, this morning I took the bus here and found it was mostly uneventful.
Mostly? What are you hiding? Because she didn't say uneventful. She said mostly uneventful. Mostly.
Found it was mostly uneventful, on time, smooth ride. I did.
Did you like the bus driver?
I love the bus driver.
Well, we knew that.
I did notice that the ridership was less. It was an obvious impact of what's been happening. That my Silver Line from San Pedro was much less packed than it usually is.
And Janice Hahn thinks that's because of the ice raids.
But the operator was great. Everybody was great. We had a mostly pleasant ride down here.
And again, I do give Janice credit for riding the Metro. Believe you me, of the members of that Metro board, a lot of them don't ride Metro. But riding Metro at 9 o'clock in the morning on a weekday with security detail is different from riding the Metro at midnight in downtown LA. Did we have a bus that got hijacked last year?
I also want to take the opportunity to welcome Chief Bill Scott to Metro. I don't know if where's there.
Bill Scott, the former police chief in San Francisco, got hired very quickly to come down here for a whole lot more money to create a police force from scratch. But they're not calling it a police force. It's called the LA Metro Community Public Safety Department. We'll see how that goes. That'll be an interesting experiment. By the way, won't be up and running for the Olympics, so they're still going to need to deal with the contracts with LAPD and Long Beach and the Sheriff's Department and maybe figure out a way to coordinate them a little better or let them do their jobs, which we know was how we got to this problem in the first place, where Metro became a giant homeless shelter during the pandemic.
For those of you who don't know, Chief Scott had a very distinguished career at LAPD before serving as chief of police for the city of San Francisco, and he will now be leading our public safety for Metro, and I think we all are looking forward to your leadership.
I wish everyone on the Board of Supervisors and the board at Metro and the LA City Council would just stop thanking people for their leadership. Can't stand that term.
Chief, and we have a lot of work to do to make sure our system continues to be safe and user-friendly for all of our riders.
And there have been some safety improvements because of some really awful crime stories that did happen on Metro. The worst one was under Karen Bass's watch, but they started expanding that tap-to-exit program at Metro stations where you got to pay, because the way that they like to say it is not all fare evaders are criminals, but all criminals are fare evaders. So if you force them to pay the fare, you knock off some of that riffraff, which has been a noticeable improvement. Problem is, it's one thing to implement that at stations that you have control of. How do you implement that at stops? And how do you implement that on buses? Don't really know. Janice has this idea of weapons detection technology to make sure people aren't bringing guns or knives or mace. I don't know. Everyone seems to be armed with something on the metro, usually for self-defense. But it takes one person to get all crazy on there and everyone pulls out what they're packing.
This month, a big thing for Metro. We celebrated the long-awaited opening of the LAX Metro Transit Center station.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. This happened the same day as all of the big ICE protests and riots, so it kind of got overshadowed. But at the beginning of this month, which feels like 6 months ago, LA Metro finally opened the LAX Metro Station on whatever line they call that. The pink line, the K line, I have no idea anymore. But you can take Metro to the airport. Kind of. You can take Metro to a station that's close to the airport, and then you get on a bus, and you take that bus to the airport. The People Mover, which was supposed to be done at the same time as the LAX Metro Station, still isn't done. But, you know, we're optimistic. Maybe it'll be ready for the World Cup in 2026.
This month, a big thing for Metro.
So funny because you go to any other airport and these things are things that have been around for decades. But LA is terrible at everything.
This month, a big thing for Metro. We celebrated the long-awaited opening of the LAX Metro Transit Center station. And, yeah.
Didn't get that much applause. This seems pretty tepid for a room full of people that livelihoods depend on Metro.
And, yeah.
Janice did a little slow clap.
I was like, This is definitely going to be a game changer for both residents and visitors. It finally gives Angelenos a fast, affordable way to connect to the airport, and it sends a strong message to the world.
Well, define fast. I mean, most of the pathways to get to that station are light rail, and light rail is not fast. There are certain parts of the light rail on the Blue Line and the Expo Line, whatever they call them now, where they literally are like, have to stop at a light for traffic. The Red Line is heavy rail, and that one's pretty fast. This Purple Line is supposed to be all heavy rail, but how fast is, I mean, look, I don't like sitting in traffic to go to LAX any more than you. It's one of the worst experiences of living here. That's why people in the know try to fly out of Burbank or Long Beach every possible opportunity. Ontario, John Wayne. How are there not more airports? There's 20 million people out here. It makes no sense. But how long is, your train ride going to be if you're taking that thing to LAX? Well, not exactly LAX, to the bus that takes you to LAX, which, if you're already going to get on a bus and you're in the valley, just go to the Van Nuys Airport and take the flyaway bus. I think they have those at a few different places. I've taken that once or twice. It's not terrible.
Strong message to the world. Los Angeles is a modern, world-class city with a transit system to match.
No, it's not, and no, it's not. I am born and raised in this town, and as I approach my 40th birthday, I am getting very bitter about the city of Los Angeles. But even with that being said, these two things are not true.
Los Angeles is a modern, world-class city with a transit system to match.
Nope. I mean, sure, they're trying, but what exactly has you define world-class city? New York? LA ain't New York. London? LA ain't London. Tokyo? LA's definitely not Tokyo. LA is fairly dumpy compared to all those cities. And when you go from the 2024 Olympics in Paris to the 2028 Olympics in LA, it's going to show, and it's going to show real bad.
We had at the opening one of our transit riders, Ed Begley Jr., and his daughter were there, and they are regular riders of the system and sort of unofficial ambassadors, I think, for.
Well, not that kind of ambassador. I don't think Mr. Ed Begley Jr. is walking around with a clipboard and a yellow jacket and staring at his phone while people beat each other up on the metro. Maybe he is. I don't know.
For our system, that he always compliments us and, again, is one of our regular riders. It was a great celebration. Thank you, Stephanie, and to Tim and your team for the incredible opening of this station.
It's finally here. It's finally open. It's been open for 3 weeks, and I don't know about you, and it's new. And again, it's not totally finished because you don't have the people mover yet. But I'm not really noticing any improvement on the 405. So I just kind of want to gauge the public out there. You're listening. You live in Southern California, which means ultimately at some point you have to deal with LAX. And so I want to take a little survey. All you little travelers out there. Now that we have the LAX metro station, would you consider using it, knowing everything you know about metro? We don't even have to get into the public safety aspect of it, but of course that's a huge aspect of it. Just on convenience factor alone, I don't know how many people would take this. Outside of the fact that those trains are not built for people walking around with luggage. I don't know how that's supposed to work. Do you see yourself taking Metro to LAX in the future? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. It's finally open. LAX's Metro station is here. You can take the train from downtown LA or Santa Monica or Pasadena, or it's pretty much all the places it goes, to the Metro. Long Beach, although you would just go to Long Beach Airport, wouldn't you? Will you be considering taking Metro for your next trip to LAX? 800-222-KABC. If you're into it, tell me why. If you're not about it, tell me why. 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Do you see yourself going Metro the next time you got to go to LAX? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Get on the line right now. It's time for a survey. Tell me what you're thinking about this. Will you consider going Metro to LAX? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's Janice Hahn's last week as chair of LA Metro.
I love the bus driver.
And one of the things that just happened under her watch is the opening of the LAX Metro station. You can go Metro to LAX. I don't know if anybody is, but you can. So now that this thing is finally open, something that other airports have had for decades, would you use it? Is anyone going to use it? Because if nobody uses it, what are we doing all this for? And I'll say this as someone, I don't think I will ever use it. Even if they built the Sepulveda line, I don't know. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Would you consider going Metro the next time you got to go to LAX? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Angela in Ventura. Angela, hello.
Hi, Randy. How are you today?
Doing great.
Awesome. So in answer to your question, no, I would never. It's going to stop approximately 2 to 3 miles before the airport. The last 1/4 of a mile is what takes you the longest, and now you want to add a bunch of buses to that? This is going to suck even more.
That is a really, really, really good point, because that horseshoe is already a nightmare. And part of the reason it's a nightmare is because of all the shuttle buses, not just from the flyaway, those would be fine, but from all of the rental car people, because we don't have a rental car depot like every other airport. Also, all the hotels and all the paid parking lots. And you're going to add even more buses to that, which means even more of that incessant honking. Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
This is insane that she can tout this as something advantageous that she's done for Californians. They just suck. And she's probably never going to ride it because she takes a car service that gets her there. This is just insane that they would push something else like this on taxpayers of California. Haven't we suffered enough with Gavin Newsom? Just stop the madness.
I think you make a really strong point. Thank you so much for the call, Angela. Appreciate it. I don't think Karen Bass is ever going to use this. I don't think Janice Hahn is ever going to use this.
I love the bus driver.
I know, but you're not going to take Metro to LAX. But you are the public. You are who they built this for. It was built in your name. So I want to know right now, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Would you consider going Metro the next time you got to go to LAX? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold, because we're coming right back to your calls. Next, it's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com. Give me a follow on social media at Randy Wang Radio and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. It's the end of an era at LA Metro. Janice Hahn will no longer be the chair.
I love the bus driver.
Now it's going to be Fernando Dutra. But one of the things that happened under Janice Hahn's watch was earlier this month, the LA Metro LAX station finally opened. You can take a train to just outside of LAX, then you got to get on a bus because the people mover's not ready. My question to you, because we built this for you, we built this with the intention that people in LA were going to get out of their cars and get on Metro. Would you consider going Metro the next time you have to fly out of LAX? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Thanks for holding, everybody. Let's start with Robert in Torrance. Robert, hello.
Hello.
Howdy.
Is this Robert you're talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, the short answer, no, I would not. Primarily, I think there's a number of reasons. I've tried riding on the Metro with my wife, and she doesn't feel safe, and I don't expect her to feel unsafe. And I can go to Washington, D.C., go right outside the airport, get on the Metro, and go to where I want to go.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way here. And even if it did, where you need to go in a city this spread out, you'll never build enough train line for it to make sense.
And then I was at a function where Metro was pushing the Metro, and I asked the gentleman, I said, well, do you ride the Metro? Have you ever ridden the Metro? And he said, oh, no, I haven't. I guess I should. And I said, well, then how can you ask me to ride the Metro? And I would ask that all our politicians who are pushing the Metro, would you please ride it twice a week and then give us your assessment on what it's like, at least twice a week?
I think that should be a mandate for every member of the Metro Board, which includes the Board of Supervisors and every member of the LA City Council. Because if they actually had to depend on it, they'd see why so many people choose not to use it.
I talked to a group in Long Beach who pushing transit, and they said, oh, no, we're all required to ride the Metro so that we can tell our riders what it's like.
Well, it's a no from you for the LAX metro station, Robert. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Safety is a huge issue on this thing. And like the way that I travel, where, it's my wife and I, we've got 2 suitcases each and 2 backpacks and the dogs. Oh boy. Have we even considered all the people that bring their dogs and cats to the airport? Now they got to bring their dogs and cats on Metro. Oh boy. Let's go to Steve in Ontario. Steve, hello.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Doing great.
I would not ride it because if you take it in, then you've also got to take it home. And I have taken the ride home from LAX to Ontario on Metro. And let me tell you, a year ago this Friday, I was in Nairobi, Kenya, and I think I could take the shuttle from Nairobi to the airport and fly home to Ontario and be faster than riding it from LAX and probably be safer in the process.
I think you've got a point there.
Have a good one.
Thanks so much for the call, Steve. Appreciate it. And of course, Steve lives in Ontario, a great airport that is woefully underutilized because it's operated by the LAX people. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Would you consider going Metro the next time you got to fly out of LAX? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Dave in Whittier. Dave, hello.
Absolutely not. And I can imagine, Janice Hahn, the Board of Supervisors are also members of the Metro Board. I can imagine them sitting in private with their pencils spinning in their hands, and they're playing tiddlywinks and looking at the ceiling fans, because these people do not live in reality. The people of LA and Southern California need to understand that. And you made a great point, Randy. I'm so glad you brought up about the luggage issue. They never thought about that. And they're going to have to put a lot of people in jail to make those metro lines, those rail lines safe, and they're not going to do it. Okay? And so I'm saying, can you play Dutra's clip? Let's fill the marketplace with good news, because that's why this is happening, because of his attitude. And let me tell you, I'm campaigning against him for the city council. Okay? He's District 4 in our city of Whittier, and he needs to get out of there too.
For you, Dave, I will play that clip of Fernando Dutra, the incoming Metro Board chair.
I think we need to flood the market with some positive news whenever we get it, because I guarantee it goes the other way whenever we get the bad news. So I think it's only fair that we spread the news.
Hey, Dave, send me an email. I'll email you that clip.
Thank you so much. And you know what, folks? Encourage all your friends not to ride that Metro rail airport deal, because it's completely delusional.
I think you make a really strong point. Thanks so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. Would you consider going Metro the next time you got to fly out of LAX? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Ray in Hermosa Beach. Ray, hello.
Yes, I would never take the Metro to LAX. There's also something dangerous going on that's going to completely transform California, and the transit is one of the parties behind it. What they're trying to do is put a bill through called SB 79 that would allow developers to come in. If you're within a quarter mile of a bus stop or a transit stop, you could build a 75-foot apartment building. If you're within a half mile, you could build a 55-foot tall apartment building. This pretty much covers almost all the neighborhoods in the South Bay. It covers almost all of Sherman Oaks. It almost covers all of Los Angeles. So developers can go into neighborhoods where you can build a massive apartment building in your backyard. And they're saying, but then people can live in these big buildings and they can jump on the Metro and go wherever they need to go. And there will never be sufficient parking in these buildings. And it's going to destroy California. It's a scam.
Oh, and on top of the fact that they have eliminated parking minimums, and with the latest move in the assembly that was Gavin Newsom's poison pill, or he wasn't going to sign the budget, now people won't even be able to sue over these developments anymore, which for some situations totally makes sense. But yes, they're going to completely try to urbanize places where it does not make a lick of sense, and traffic is going to be so awful, parking is going to be so awful, they're going to force you onto that train.
Well, they should get everyone to call their assemblyman tomorrow and urge a no vote.
SB 79, look it up, people. Yeah, I agree.
Gotta fight this stuff.
If you don't like what's going on with SB 79, if you don't want developers to turn single-family homes into big old towers because they're next to a bus stop, contact your state senator, contact your Assemblyman Ray. Thank you so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Would you consider going Metro the next time you got to go to LAX? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to the phones. Would you consider going Metro the next time you have to go to LAX? Notice how I don't say choose to go to LAX. Let's go to Steve in Laguna Hills. Steve, hello.
Hey, Hot Randy. I am a retired American Airlines captain. I have ridden the Metro many times, and the answer is not on your life, first of all, in L.A., but as a counterpoint, I have ridden the maglev train from Shanghai Airport to downtown. It's amazing. I have ridden the underground from London Heathrow to Kensington. It's amazing and safe. As your other caller said ahead of me, the DC Metro on many American Airlines layovers, I've been on that. It's super safe. And as you personally have discussed on your radio show, all you have to do is go to the terminus down in Long Beach on a Friday night to it's like going to the emergency room of St. John's. I think that it's kind of a lost cause as far as LAX and the Metro, but other places do it amazingly well. It's certainly possible. I don't know why it's like the train of nowhere. Why they just spend money and train to nowhere, homelessness is pour money at it, nothing happens. That's my opinion, but the Metro is not going to happen. Just join the freeway lineup on the 105, backed up 3 miles at 10 p.m. and forget about the Metro. That's my own personal professional opinion.
You make such a strong point. This has been done and can be done successfully in so many other places, but L.A. and California, Randy, for that matter, are run by buffoons.
Yeah, one last point. In context, remember, we were the place of the Red Line, Mr. Huntington of the Huntington Gardens. He was a railroad magnate. He came out and he did it. He had an amazing system, and the oil companies, the Red Line ran all the way down to Huntington Beach, which was named after him. He bought real estate on either side of it and of the rail line. And all you have to do is watch the Jack Nicholson movie Chinatown. It's a retro revisit of how the oil companies kind of came in and destroyed that effective rail line. But it was going on back in the day, and it was safe and effective. That's the best I can offer. It's always nice to have history in your hip pocket, but L.A. had it at one point.
Oh, you're so right, and I'm so glad you brought that up. It's hard to believe, based on the mess that we're in now, but 100 years ago, Los Angeles had the best public transit system in the entire country.
Exactly. Well, Gavin Newsom will save us all, so Hot Randy, you're the best.
Thank you so much for the call, Steve. Appreciate it. I love that the Hot Randy thing is catching on. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to the phones and go to James in Azusa. James, hello.
Hello, Randy. You know, I think you already knew what the answer was going to be when you considered a homeless camp on wheels. But And my answer is no. I have a hard enough time getting on the Azusa line. But just think, it's just in time for the 2026 World Cup when the world comes in from the airport and sees all the new tents popping up along the corridor, and Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom get to show off their world-class city.
It's going to be quite embarrassing for the international community, that's for sure. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. She's supposed to have this all cleaned up in the next 12 months. Good luck. Let's go to Edward in Simi Valley. Edward, hello.
Hey, how's it going, Randy? I love your show.
Thank you.
I say yes, but it's a little bit different of a reason than most people would think of. I used to travel all over the place for work and for pleasure, flown out of the LAX hundreds of times. But anymore, my work sucks. And coming back from being in Kauai or being in Europe for, 10 days or a couple weeks, flying home and then thinking about, I have to go to work on Monday, and I really don't. The thought of coming back and getting on a train and just having a homeless person off me so I don't have to come back to work on Monday actually doesn't sound that bad, and not a bad way to go out in this world.
I've definitely had that post-vacation burnout feeling that you're talking about, but I've never taken it that far. But that is a fantastic point. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hey, Randy, imagine trying to keep track of all your luggage before you get to LAX. I give Metro an ABC rating. A, you made it alive. B, better luck next time. C, county morgue next stop.
That might be the next station they have to build. Thanks so much for the call, Dale. Appreciate it. Yeah, I really don't think we've even thought about how luggage works. At least when you take that flyaway bus, it's a really tall bus because they have places to stow your luggage. And if you've got 2 checked bags with you, what exactly is the plan here? I don't know if we had one. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, it's a lady next to you on Metro gets decapitated by a homeless maniac. Doesn't that ride still qualify as mostly uneventful?
Why, yes, it was mostly uneventful, except for that 1 minute where it was very eventful.
Right. Janice Hahn sounds like a cross between an NPR Happy Time announcer and Moon Zappa's Valley Girl.
There is a little of that.
I love the bus driver.
Thanks so much for the call, Bill. Appreciate it. If you want to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. I try to read all your emails. Some of them I read on the air. Penny writes in and says, I have never ridden on the LA Metro. I will never ride on the LA Metro. It's too much of a gamble that you won't get mugged or worse, and I'm not a gambler. I feel the sentiment. Well, I tried to do my best here, but I don't think I got one person that agreed that they want to get on the Metro and take it to LAX.
I was like,
Sorry, Janice. By the way, if I type in LAX and I want to use public transit, 0 of the options for me in the San Fernando Valley say take the Metro to the Metro train. They're all just go to Van Nuys Airport and take the flyaway. So that's all we get in the Valley. Thank you all so much for listening and participating in the show. Download the podcast, share it with your friends. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.